want to get to this morning. Baseball may be coming back here soon. Major League Baseball looks like they've finally reached an agreement with the Players Association. Talking about that, I mentioned this yesterday. It's on my blog site at 600KCOL. And I think it's also on my Facebook page. But go to 600KCOL.com. Estes Park. Evidently, some folks are hassling the out-of-state tourist stuff there. That story is on there as well. Oh, I got a story out of Boulder. They're cracking down on the COVID rule breaker.
I was in Estes Park yesterday. I sent you a picture of the moose. I better post it.
Painful. And then I got a story that kind of ties into that. Speaking of Corona Karens looking for people being naughty. Joy Behar and her husband, the lady from The View, her and her husband evidently drive around in their spare time looking for rule breakers without masks. Doesn't that seem just like the old Grinch, Joy Behar? Seems exactly like something she'd do. So a lot of those stories still to come on the program, and you are welcome in here as well, 866-888-5449. As we do every Wednesday at this point, we welcome in Steve Laffey. We can call him a filmmaker, an author, and commentator on the program. And on SteveLaffey.com is his website. Steve Laffey, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Jimmy. The comment about Joy Behar seemed more Stalinistic than Grinch's driving around. Or maybe it's something out of Fidel Castro's, people peeking in homes to... These people are nuts. And you and I won't speak for you. I have not even delved into how nuts people really are in my brain. Like, I'm not capable of understanding grown men, go into a garage. They see the same, let's call it, piece of rope that I have in my garage. When I bought my house in a barn, I went into the garage, and the man, to keep the garage go up and down, had a noose, right? And it's been there for 10 years. Just broke off recently. I had to put a stretchy thing on it to keep the garage going up and down, because when I take my lawnmower out, it has a big giant thing over the top, so if I flip it over, which I haven't done yet, never thought anything of it, Jimmy. Did you? Has anybody else gone into a garage in America and seen this act?
No, I'm going to post the photos up here in just a moment if anybody hasn't seen what was so offensive. And that's what it seems as if NASCAR ran with this story. NASCAR should have known better. There's one of the big magazines that they're saying, we asked if it was the garage door handle, and NASCAR said, absolutely not, it's not the garage door handle. Something's fishy here, and I'm not sure if it's a NASCAR trying to virtue signal. They pushed the story, but somebody pushed this story, and they have egg on their face, and it's kind of a sad commentary, because it's like I said, Steve, these people that show up and they look at a statue and say, oh, I see a statue, I'm offended. Oh, I see a garage door handle, I'm offended. And I'm supposed to be offended by everything that offends them, and at some point, when is enough enough?
And the real... Enough is enough for me, like about 3 months ago. But what really happens is that this really hurts people who are black as they go about their business during the day wherever they are. This hurts them. This promotes racism. These actions by people trying to make up stories, whether it's the guy in Chicago who said his buddies attacked him. Remember that one? And what really... this hurts them. So I just witnessed, during the break when you mentioned this, because I didn't know this, I went on to watch Don Lemon at CNN interview Mr. Wallace, not Mike Wallace, who's passed away, or Chris Wallace, his son. I'm talking about Bubba Wallace. He literally uses comments like, no one's blaming you, Bubba. Literally, he's leading on the race car driver. So then you realize again, and not that I go to CNN or whatever, this guy, it's not a news show. It's a promotion show, right? All these shows are promotion shows, and people are sick of it. I sent you along a couple of pictures of moose in Estes Park yesterday at Sprague Lake, but along with the comment that, how does the state of Colorado are saying. I spoke with a dozen of them yesterday, all throughout Sprague Lake. I was there for, hours and hours yesterday. And the disgust registered over what's happening in Colorado and Denver by people visiting us from other states. People aren't going to be going to visit Denver as much. This whole thing is hurting. And until the Republicans realize that it's all done on purpose, they're going to lose. Right, Jim? I mean, I don't know what to say about the president yesterday talking about wanting to send more checks, and the reaction the reaction from people who already sent out $3.2 trillion, U.S. senators, right? Combined with what they sent to the Fed, which was $4 trillion. So you have my friend, is a friend of mine, Pat Toomey, who backed me, the Club for Growth. He's expressing all kinds of pessimism about sending out future checks because they've already spent enough money. Senator Toomey, along with Mark Rubio, don't realize that people, just a small segment I met yesterday, all over are disgusted with the checks that went out. People know that the checks that went out were not a rifle approach to solve a problem. They were just a political response, no different than responding to Bubba Wallace, right? Or responding as like, oh no, we better tear down some statues of these great Americans who I mean, Abe Lincoln. I heard you mention Abe Lincoln. Jimmy, it's beyond anything we can understand, and it needs to stop, and it needs to stop right now. And the president's mistake is that it's late June. It is late June officially today, and Michigan has 21% unemployment. And we know from the Kansas City Sentinel nonprofit organization, the states that did not shut down, like the states who did shut down, did massively better. Gee, I mean, you and I talked about this in February. It takes a survey afterwards. This has to stop. If the president and the Republicans want to win, I mean literally this morning, they need to stop and take a whole new tact on this. Not saying we're going to do stuff, crack down, arrest people, throw people in jail, bring in whatever it takes for people who I saw yesterday from Texas and other states to say, oh, we're back to being America again. No one's touching a statue. No one's doing this. If they don't do that now, it is not 1968 where Nixon wins. It is 2006, reread my book, Primary Mistake. It is a wipeout of massive proportions for Republicans. And it's Joe Biden as president with somebody as a vice president we can't even imagine right now. And it's losing, and it's Joni Ernst going down to defeat in Iowa. Cory Gardner's already lost in Colorado. It's a list of people losing, like Susan Collins, that haven't been seen since I wrote my book right after the election in 2006, and I got a book contract because I told the lady they were all going to lose over things like Medicare Part D. It's worse than that now, way worse, Jimmy.
Amazing you talk about people need to be arrested, there's going to be a reaction. I think most Americans are going, what the hell's going on here? Somebody stop this nonsense. But, I haven't seen mugshots. How many people have been arrested? We've had hundreds of cops injured over the last few weeks. How many people have been arrested? Was anybody arrested in Las Vegas for shooting the cop in the back of the head? The guy's on a ventilator now the rest of his life and paralyzed from the neck down. I mean, how many arrests have happened? How many mugshots are out there? I haven't seen any. I mean, it's just nothing. The only mugshots they want to show are these cops that have been arrested. But there's been a lot of bad stuff happening, a lot of looting, a lot of rioting, a lot of arson. And I did see the kid that lit the police precinct arrested in Colorado from Minneapolis. But other than that, it seems as if there should be some daily perp walks happening about this is the crowd that tore down the statue, and we're going to lock them up, no bail, and see if they get 10 years in jail. But
you're exactly right. I mean, think about just police reform. There's a Republican version of police reform that the Republicans aren't using. I could jot it down right now for you. I mean, Republicans should put out the thing that every cop should have a college degree going forward, right? Every police officer should be psychologically tested before they get out there. Every city should have the right. Every city should have the right to lay off the bottom 2% every year. Just that alone, Jimmy. Laying off the ability to fight the unions and win against the unions who have perpetrated this, of keeping every bad cop on. Remember, I was a mayor. We had 2 bad cops. It was less than 2%. I'm just joking, and not even really joking. I knew all the cops after 4 years of being mayor. I was in charge of all the cops by the charter. I hired the police chief. I did the promotions. Not the police chief. I did this. I knew there were 2 bad cops. If I could have gotten rid of, at the very beginning, 2% every year, and I don't know if I would have even chosen 2% every year. Those 2 would have been gone, maybe 4 or 5 others. It would have allowed me to hire better ones. 2%. It's an easy thing to say. Everybody would understand it, especially, God rest his soul, Jack Welch, who literally went to like at least 5% of his employees as he grew the biggest company in the world, General Electric at the time, right? He laid off like 5% of the bottom. it's a statistic that I used all the time when I was in management and private sector. Actually, it helped people. There are at least 5% of the people in any large organization who don't belong there, who would do better somewhere else. They would do better as an investment banker, not as an investment banker, if I had him as an investment banker, to go somewhere else and work. It's a tactic that works for both the people who work for you, because they can get their lives together somewhere else where they can be successful. There's nothing worse than staying somewhere 15 years and being unsuccessful, which is what happens all the time. You get disgruntled people who don't belong being cops. I think anybody would agree. Ask Sheriff Smith, who's a great sheriff, would anybody not agree with that no matter what, the bottom 2% would be an easy thing to do? We don't do any of this, Jimmy. That's not the Republican plan. It has to be the Republican plan.
Another plan that I think that nationally and even statewide, that Republicans or conservatives ought to get out there, and President Trump hit on it in his speech in Tulsa, is about school choice. And I was mentioning this a moment ago. You have this school board member for Poudre School District, the board president, that he's really going to take a stand at the school resource officers, but I've never heard him take a stand about the low test scores in Poudre School District, and I've never heard him take a stand as to why a lot of the schools don't perform as well as Liberty Common and some of the other charter schools in the district. It seems as if that would be a message. You ought to be able to put your kid in any school out there, and that would actually work and play well in the black community, because it's true. Everybody of every race ought to have access for their children to the best possible school out there.
If the President of the United States, or before I say that, just go back to the Poudre School District for a second. The thought process that the Poudre School District last Friday's Fort Collins, Colorado, and could cut 90% of the students that are going to be on the buses due to the communist Chinese virus and pay the school bus people the same amount is diametric opposed to what anybody would understand, who, especially if they work at general nutrition stores today, all 1,200 being closed, going bankrupt. Any of the people working at Hertz today going bankrupt, right? At the Poudre School District, all the bus drivers will make the same amount of money transporting 1/10 of the students. And then on to charter schools. Republicans, I'm reading here from Thomas Sowell, the famous black economist who, thank God, is still alive, who worked underneath Milton Friedman. If I had a hero, is a word we can't use about heroes. That's a whole other topic. But Thomas Sowell, the wonderful economist who has written about school choice for years and years, I use the word racist to describe anybody against school choice. Republicans are too chicken to do this. The president right now, with these same Republican senators, should go to inner cities and campaign there and let the world see that they are actually physically taking kids out of schools and get people like me to show up and teach them Algebra 2 somewhere. The video of us doing this in New York City, or doing this in Birmingham, Alabama, or doing this somewhere where we say to all the leaders of these school systems, you're the racist. All you've done, remember, it was Republicans that freed the slaves, right? It was the Democrats who were the Ku Klux Klan. It was the Republicans who passed the Civil Rights Act. Martin Luther King, a Christian pastor, was a ... Republican. Let me repeat this for people who don't know this, because everybody should repeat it today. All news stories. Martin Luther King was a Republican. Is there anything else you need to know? That Martin Luther King was and I'm not going to swear, a Republican, right? And all the people in New York City who keep these kids out of the school choice, who have lotteries, right, to keep only a certain amount of people getting a good education, they are all racists. And until Republicans call them racist, because they're trying to keep the voting block of Democrats, a voting block of black people, to only vote the Democrat, which they've done successfully, despite the fact that they've targeted them for abortion from the very beginning, right? That they've kept them poor, that the vertical buildings that house all the Chinese virus in New York City, right? And that attacks black people more than white people because of obesity in one respect, right? All this is done on purpose by de Blasio, who's a racist, by all the Democratic leaders who are racist themselves. And the fact that Republicans don't take this one issue, Jimmy, this one issue on charter schools, on school choice, and drive it right through the giant, victory lap. They won't even begin to do it, means that they are likely to get the you-know-what kicked. in November. This is easy to do. Like tomorrow morning, if someone could get me with the president, and he would visit New York City, and he would drag kids out in the street and say, we got Laffey and these other guys showing up to teach you Algebra 1. We don't care what they say. They're going to do it from this build. We're going to have people donating stuff to teach you real stuff, you sixth graders. They could win. People would finally get it. Instead, they want to send another check to people who don't need it. It's bizarre. Yes. Sprague Lake, early in the morning, I've been there 3 times in 4 weeks because they've here's another economic concept. Hey, limit the amount of people that come into the park so people can actually enjoy it, right? At Rocky Mountain National Park, which is only an hour and 10 minutes from where either one of us are sitting, roughly. Get there really early. Hate to advertise this. Grab the picnic table near the thing and stay there all day. And then the people you meet, the moose are unbelievable. That's a mother and daughter moose team. That I've never seen people be able to sit with them, not with them obviously, but for about 3.5 hours, my wife disappeared while I had some s'mores at like 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't think she knows this yet, but you know, I didn't. While she was over there, I went back and. You know, I did the French thing, Jimmy. You know, I just did the s'more thing at 8 o'clock for my dessert first, then went to the roast beef sandwich. But anyway, the people you meet there are just totally amazing out-of-state people. I noticed that you put something on about people protesting, out-of-state people coming into Estes Park. They're all in the park. They love it. They just have a generally bad impression of Colorado now because of what's happening, especially in Denver. God bless. Jimmy's such a great guy, by the way. If you don't listen to, if you're listening, you know, he has a great show. It should be a national show. But yeah, I'll end it with this. Everybody should go back. Thomas Sowell's written books on this about all these things regarding schools and how different racial groups do differently in our country. They come from different places. And it's really not based upon the color of their skin. He's done this for like, I don't know, 50 years. And if you get a chance, everybody should go to freeatchoose.com and go watch episode, I think it's 6 about school choice. Episode 9 is unbelievable. I'm watching it with my kids. One of the reasons my kids actually know what's going on is you actually sit there and watch real stuff with them rather than actually being a video game thing. You know, we don't do that here at the Laffey household. Anyway, everybody have a great day, and God bless. We'll see you soon.